You woke up but no one understood you. You haven't experienced such a moment. You began to awaken. You began to see clearly that the person you lived in the past was not yourself. You realize that you have been taught to be obedient, and excellent since childhood, but these efforts have never really made you happy. You thought awakening was an ascension. It is a channel to open the secrets of the universe and a journey to connect high-frequency energy. But you didn't expect that it would lead you to an unspeakable loneliness. They began to not understand what their friends were talking about. They care about housing prices, promotions, KPIs, and consumption downgrades, but you are asking in your imagination, does all this really make sense? You began to feel that the world has changed. You can no longer pretend to be enthusiastic. You can no longer try to cater to others. And you can no longer force a smile. Sometimes you don't even want to talk because you know that no one really understands you. You wonder if you are obsessed. Why is it that the more you awaken, the more you seem to be stripped of reality? The most terrible thing is that you start to not see yourself clearly, knowing the frequency, the law of manifestation, and the power of the subconscious mind. You start to deliberately say positive words, do meditation exercises, breathe, and adjust energy. Why doesn't your life become smoother? Hello, the things you obviously want are always stuck. You pray and heal, but the relationship is out of balance, money is scarce, and the body has recovered. You even begin to doubt, am I not doing enough? Am I not worthy of a better life at all? You feel that you have failed on the spiritual path. You feel that you are not worthy. You are not thorough enough. You are not bright enough. You don't know that you are not a failure. You have just taken the real awakening entrance. You are not failing, you are shedding your shell. You are not failing to manifest success. You are fighting against the old frequency. You are not becoming lonely, you are going through the illusion you once depended on. True awakening is never a blessing of light. It is tearing, denying, and doubting again and again, until you completely collapse, sink to the bottom, and have no strength to pretend anymore. You finally see. It turns out that what I have been pursuing is not spirituality, but going home. You are not on the wrong path. You are not obsessed. You are not a spiritual failure. You are the one who is called. You are the real seed torn. Apart by the universe, you must go through quarrels to return to true wholeness. Now, let's go deeper together. Why do you feel more painful the more you awaken? Why do you feel more lost the harder you try to live as a spiritual person? Why do you show everything but still lack, empty, and lonely? Because you are experiencing the darkest and most sacred period of awakening. Awaken from spiritual illusions and truly become yourself. Are you ready? We are starting to get lost. You once thought that awakening was light, peaceful, and beautiful, like the sun shining through the morning mist. You once imagined that once you spiritually awaken, you will have unlimited love, abundant money, and a peaceful heart. But reality gave you another gift, pain. You hide alone more and more often. You can no longer adapt to the previous social circle. You can't even get close to your family because you find that they have been living in the script that you have left. You are in pain because you don't want to act anymore. You are tired of playing the hard-working person, the sensible child, the person who always cooperates. But after you stop acting, you discover a bigger truth. You don't even know who you are. You have been written into a script since you were a child. Your name, your personality, and your values are not chosen by you. It is copied, trained, expected, instilled, and shaped. You think you like freedom, like to help others, like quietness, like success. But is that really what you are like? Or is it that you have to act in order to get that little bit of love that is recognized? Every awakened person will collapse at some point. At that moment, you find that the version you have tried to become is fake. That is the role you created in order to survive, not to be abandoned and to please the world. That role is very obedient, very hard-working, very positive, but also very painful. You live, but you don't really own your life. You speak, but you feel that the language you say is not your own. You love people, but often feel wronged, depressed, and empty in the relationship. Because you are not loving, you're exchanging a sense of existence when you start not wanting to please anymore. When you start not wanting to explain anymore. When you start to doubt all rules, all moral standards, and all should-be behaviors. Congratulations, you are starting to walk out of the script. But the price is, you will be lonely. You will doubt whether you have become bad. You will suffer because you don't know what is left of you after you stop acting. You have lived in the script for too long, so long that you think that is you. Some people will escape back to the script. Some people will start to pretend, I am fine, and continue to cater to others. And some people will continue to go on, even if it is dark, even if no one understands, even if it hurts to lose direction. They are the ones who are called to move towards their true selves. The more you awaken, the more painful it is, because you are throwing away those what you think you must be. You are no longer willing to suppress your emotions. You begin to allow yourself to be not positive. You start to say no, start to want to be alone, and start to doubt the things you once believed in. Others say that you are indifferent, selfish, and changed. But you know, you are just learning to protect the yourself who has been sacrificed. The pain of your awakening is not that you did something wrong, but that you finally don't want to act anymore. You finally want to be the real you, regardless of whether you are good-looking, whether it meets expectations, or whether you are liked. This is the starting point of true awakening, no longer pursuing light, but daring to go through the darkness and embrace the self that has never been loved. Have you ever become increasingly uncertain about your wishes when you manifest? You meditate, heal your inner child, adjust your frequency, and try to return to your higher self. But your reality becomes increasingly stagnant. The more you want to move forward, the more you feel like you're hitting a wall. The more you want to grow, the more you feel suffocated. You even begin to be uncertain. What exactly do I want to manifest? It's not that you're stuck. It's not that your frequency is too low, nor that you don't deserve abundance. You just finally face the real you. In the past, you were full of motivation because you still had illusions. You still believed that as long as you fix yourself, you can control reality. You still believe that as long as you are positive enough, the universe will reward you with a beautiful life. But as you wake up more and more, you begin to understand. All the wishes you pursue are actually just another version of self-deception. You want abundance because you have always been afraid of lack. You want a soulmate because you are afraid of being alone. You want to live out your value because you feel that you are not worthy of existence. What you manifest is not your true wish, but the self-denial that has been implanted in you. Since childhood, you are not pursuing your dream. You are running away from your true self, so you are stuck. It is not a failure, but the illusion is collapsing. The things in your manifest did not come, not because you did not repair the energy, but the universe is asking you a question. Are you really willing to live out yourself? Or do you just want to change your way and continue to please the world? Many people will regress halfway through the road of awakening. They begin to miss the time when they were asleep. At least at that time, they still had a direction: promotion, making money, marriage, buying a house, children, retirement. But now you don't even know your goal. You don't want to work hard. You don't want to prove yourself anymore. You begin to find that what you have been chasing seems not to be what you really want. This is very dangerous because you will begin to collapse. You will begin to feel empty, sad, and nothingness. You will feel that life is meaningless, and you will doubt what you are living for. But this is not a problem. This is the real beginning. You begin to move from seeking meaning from the outside to real existence within. You no longer define who you are, but begin to feel that you are becoming a more real state. You no longer explain your life to others, but become more and more silent. You begin to not want to argue, socialize, or share. You just want to sit quietly, look out the window, and feel what you are experiencing. It's not that you are negative, but that you finally begin to hear yourself. You begin to realize that many things you have worked hard for have never been prepared for you. And you are finally no longer willing to go against yourself. So your manifest failed, not because you are not spiritual enough. It's that you have entered the next stage of soul return. You don't understand frequency. You are beginning to reject plastic frequency. You no longer force yourself to have high frequency, love, and gratitude every morning. You begin to allow yourself, today is low, today wants to cry, today does not want to be active, today feels lonely. You allow these emotions not because you give up awakening, but because you begin to truly awaken. You begin to understand. Emotions are not obstacles, but entrances. The reason why you can't manifest is because you suppress your emotions. You have been trying to skip sadness, anger, and fear, and go directly to high frequency. But what you don't know is, the emotions you suppress are the source of your manifest energy. You suppress pain because you were taught not to cry since childhood. You suppress anger because you are afraid that others don't love you. You suppress fear because you want to look strong. But your real strength is hidden in those things that you have always refused to be. The real awakening is a reunion with your real self. It's not about becoming better, higher, purer, or brighter. Instead, you finally dare to live as the imperfect you, with brokenness, emotions, chaos, but also freedom. You no longer pursue clarity, but accept chaos. You no longer need a roadmap, but begin to trust your steps. You no longer try to shine, but allow yourself to darken. Turn off the lights and sit in the dark. Listen to the sound of your heartbeat. That sound is always there. It is not from knowledge, not from the higher self, not from frequency. It is the most original, most real, most unmodified existence deep inside you. You finally begin to be you. Have you discovered something? You thought you were changing people. But what you attracted was always the same kind of relationship. Different faces, repeated injuries, different objects, same ending. You escaped from the control freak, but fell into cold violence again. You left the indifferent person, but encountered emotional blackmail love again. You told yourself every time, this time it will be different, but it is still the same. Why? It's not that you have a bad fate. It's not that you have a bad vision. It's not that the universe is punishing you. It's that you haven't seen why you attracted it. We will repeatedly attract similar people, similar situations, and similar endings, not because we like pain, but because our soul is trying to repair a place that has already been broken. What you love is not the person in front of you. What you love is your unfinished karma loop in him, her. You want to reenact a similar plot and hope that this time there will be a different ending. I hope that this time you can finally be understood, accepted, heard, and left. But if you don't change the script, you just change the actors, and the ending will not change. What you need to see is not why others treat me like this, but why am I willing to stay in such a relationship? What am I really longing for? Am I doing this out of love or compensation? Am I in love or exchanging a sense of existence? From the perspective of energy, each of us is a frequency transmitter. What you send out is not what you want, but what you really believe. You want to attract love that is respected, but deep down you believe, I am not worthy of respect. So, you will attract people who let you practice respecting yourself. You want to attract free and abundant relationships, but you are still afraid of being abandoned. So you will attract people who give while being cold to let you relearn that. You belong. Every relationship that makes you painful is not actually a bad guy, but a mirror. They play the role you give. The script is written by your inner frequency, and the stage is built by your energy field. And what you have not discovered is that you are both the protagonist and the director. This is not to blame you, but to awaken you. You have never been a victim. You are the planner of soul learning. You arrange these roles so that you can see the part of you that has not yet awakened. It is not that they hurt you, but that you are still finding your lost fragments through pain. And the reason why you keep circling emotions, relationships, lessons, and habits is because you have not yet realized the existence of this energy script. You say, why do I think this way again? You say, why do I make this decision again? You say, why am I spinning in circles again? But you don't know. This is not that you have not made progress. This is that you are finally facing the most core layer of subconsciousness. You are not awake. You are awake just enough to feel pain. You are facing your inner parental projection, self-value setting, and fear script. You manifest not desires, but your repressed emotions. You experience not reality, but the image of your beliefs. The life you are living is actually the materialization of your inner energy. Awakening is not to get rid of pain, but to see that pain is revealing which frequency you are running on. You are hurting because the root of your energy is still in the old script. You who always think, I must be liked to be valuable. You who believe love is pain plus sacrifice. You who are afraid of freedom because freedom will be abandoned. When you see these scripts, you can rewrite a new version. You can write a plot like this: I don't need to prove my value. I am the reason for my existence. I don't need to be understood. I allow myself to catch myself first. I no longer fill in the blanks with relationships. I use awareness to see myself. At that moment, the old script will slowly collapse. You will cry, feel pain, and be reluctant, but you will finally start to be free. In the end, you will understand. Your manifest is not failed because you have not cultivated enough. You are not attracted to the wrong person because your spirituality is not high enough. You are not because you did something wrong, but because you finally walked into the place where the soul really wants to take you back, your original appearance. Have you ever thought about one thing? You have always wanted to find the voice of your soul, but every time you really get close to it, it is in the darkest night. Not when you're in the best state, not when you sit on the yoga mat and meditate, not when you listen to classes, take notes, and read spiritual books. But when you collapse and have nothing to say, you cry until you have no strength to resist, you shrink in a corner alone. Suddenly, there is a voice, very softly sounded in your heart. I'm here. It is not a guiding spirit from outside. It is not some download sent to you by the universe. It is just a self that you have never really heard. What you have been looking for is not the spiritual answer, but this inner echo you pursue, the abundance of manifestation. You learn the law of energy, the soul blueprint, the reorganization of karma. You look for various methods, rituals, tools, and words of how to awaken, but you are not actually looking for knowledge. You want to confirm, am I still saved? Am I on the right path? Am I not a failure? What you want to manifest is not money, success, or freedom. What you manifest is, I want to know if I am loved. And this answer will never come from the outside world. It can only come from that existence After all your disguises are torn, all your beliefs are collapsed, all your skills fail, still willing to sit quietly with you, that you is your soul. It has never left you. It has been waiting for you to come back inside you since the first time you were sad, angry, or didn't want to live. You thought you were disconnected from it, but in fact, you just walked into too many other people's scripts and forgot that you still have your own voice. Pain is not an obstacle, but a reminder. Every time a relationship explodes, a manifest fails, money is anxious, and the body and mind collapse, it is not because you haven't practiced enough. It's because you have finally reached a point where your soul no longer allows you to pretend. That's not the universe. It's punishing you. That's the soul telling you, come back, you should come back. True awakening is not knowing how to control energy better, but you are finally willing to face who you are, no longer look for definitions from books or teachers, but close your eyes and listen to your own breathing now. That breath is the only proof that you are alive at this moment. You are not a certain frequency, not a seed from a certain galaxy, not a fragment of a certain high-dimensional existence. You are you. You have always been there. All finding answers are actually journeys made by the soul. You must go far to experience the feeling of going home. You must experience the sweetness of illusions, the trap of beliefs, the collapse of relationships, and the stripping of identities to really realize that you have never lacked answers. You just lack the determination to face your true self bravely. You don't need to become a more spiritual person anymore. You just need to start being a complete self. What is completeness? It is when you allow yourself to cry today and laugh tomorrow. It is when you no longer force yourself to always be clear, always love, and always be strong. It is when you no longer pursue becoming, but begin to allow being to be. You allow the you who is still confused today, the you who is still learning to express, the you who does not know how to handle relationships, the you who does not want light, kindness, or high frequency. All of them can exist. The soul does not ask you to be perfect. It just hopes that you start to be real. It does not need you to become someone. It just hopes that you come back. Are you willing to let go of illusions and walk into reality? You have worked hard enough, haven't you? You have learned a lot of spiritual knowledge. You have tried many mind-changing exercises. You have read a lot of articles on how to fix yourself. You have taken classes, joined groups, meditated, journaled, and done energy healing. But have you ever felt that you are becoming more and more aware of how to become an awakened person, but you are becoming less and less sure about who you are? You used to think, as long as I fix my energy, I can attract the right people. As long as I learn to control my emotions, I will no longer suffer. As long as I become a higher frequency person, I will be loved, recognized, and respected. But you find that you are becoming less and less like yourself. You are becoming more and more cautious and more like performing a spiritual person. You are not awakening. You are escaping. You are not free. You just change the way to please. You run from the social script to the spiritual script. You change from catering to your parents to catering to your higher self. You are no longer afraid of your boss, but you start to fear that you are not bright enough, not clean enough, not aware enough. You don't want to ascend. You want to escape from becoming a human. But dear, you are not called to become a lighter person. You are called to become the real you. This you. Maybe you will collapse today. Maybe you will be disgusted with the world tomorrow. Maybe sometimes you don't want to do anything. Maybe you will doubt life, doubt everything, including faith. But this is you. This you, without packaging, logic, and beautiful language, is your real starting point. You don't need to become anything anymore. You just need to start allowing. Allow you not to forgive today. Allow You not to love yourself yet. Allow your energy state at this moment is not perfect, because awakening is not an end. Awakening is a process of facing the present honestly again and again. You can go slower. You can be more vulnerable. You can go astray, take a detour, or take the wrong path. You can even stop believing in anything, as long as you are walking in your own direction, as long as you are not acting the way others want you to be. Even if you stumble, even if you seem to manifest nothing successfully, as long as you start to walk back to the real, it's all worth it. You don't have to prove your spirituality anymore. The existence of the soul, you are already there. You don't need to pursue the standard of awakening anymore. You are already on the way. You don't need to connect to the higher self anymore, because your existence at this moment is me. The answer you want has never disappeared. It is just hidden in all the emotions you dare not touch, and in all the parts of yourself you want to escape. The more you want to get over it with knowledge, the more painful it knocks on your door. So now, are you willing to stop? Not to stop your pursuit, but to stop the obsession of constantly modifying yourself. Stop trying to optimize your life. Try to start acknowledging your life. Stop pursuing a higher light. Try to start seeing your shadow. Stop practicing the skills of awakening. Try to start speaking your true feelings. You no longer need methods, rituals, frameworks, or levels. All you need is honesty. Say to yourself, I am willing, from today on, to allow me to exist like this. You are already on the road, but you haven't seen how far you have gone. You may have forgotten how you started. You may not remember what made you want to wake up in the first place. Maybe a relationship collapsed. Maybe one night you cried alone and couldn't breathe. Maybe at a certain moment you looked at yourself in the mirror and suddenly wanted to ask, who is this? At that moment, maybe you don't understand anything. Maybe you have no plan, no direction, no answer, but you started. You started the call of your soul. You can't say it, but you have started on this road. A road that no one has ever defined for you. In the eyes of others, you may not have achieved anything. You may not make a lot of money. You may not have an ideal relationship. You may look more lonely than before. But you know that you have changed. You become more honest, more silent, and more sensitive. You begin to hear the rejection in your body. You begin to detect the whispers of the old wounds in your emotions that have not healed. You no longer easily say it's okay to yourself. You no longer easily suppress your tears. You no longer force yourself to get better. You begin to allow that the way I am now is also worth existing. You may not see the changes, but you are no longer the person who trying hard to please for love. You are no longer the person who forces a smile to avoid being left behind. You may still feel pain, tiredness, and confusion, but you know you're no longer willing to betray yourself. This is awakening. Awakening is not ascension, not radiance, not becoming a spiritual person. Awakening is that you finally see clearly. You don't need to become any version anymore. You are already enough, complete, and have a soul. Even if you are still collapsing, struggling, and disordered today, you are still the soul itself. You asked me, how long will I go? I said, this is not a journey to somewhere. This is a homecoming again and again. You think you wake up to walk towards the light, but you wake up to learn again how to truly become a human being, a crying, laughing, chaotic, imperfect, and contradictory person. But it is also an honest, sober, and alive you. You don't need an answer. What you need is the courage to keep going, even if the pace is a little slower, even if you sit down to catch your breath in the middle, even if you turn the wrong direction sometimes, as long as you are still asking, who am I? You are on the way home. So now I don't want to bless you. I just want to give you a permission. You have done well. You can relax. You can cry, you don't understand. You can, don't change yet. You can, come back. First, coming back is not a step back. You are finally willing to walk out of the standard awakening route arranged by others for you and start to step on your own soul rhythm. You are not awake enough. You are just too real, so you don't need to pretend to be high frequency anymore. You just finally began to trust. I am fine as I am now. The last question. When your world is completely quiet, please close your eyes and gently ask yourself, have I honestly seen my feelings now? If you hear something, that is the answer given to you by your soul. It is not what I said, nor what this copy said. It is the voice inside you that has been waiting for you to come back, saying, I am here. I have always been here. Welcome back. Keep going. We are no longer alone. Welcome to Subscribe to Me. More content will be shared later.